Alright, hello everyone, welcome to a video on two rope working in the tree. My name is Michael Curwen, and I'm going to be running through what I can think of, little ideas, tips, tricks all the way through this video just to try and help you utilise two ropes in the tree. So here in the UK we are now after legally use two ropes. It has been in for probably a couple of years now, so it's been a slow process on us trying to adapt from one rope to two. But so in this video I'm going to go from step by step, starting with installing your rope from the ground to using your ropes in the tree, and then removing your ropes as well from the ground, and just go step by step. Any tips along the way I'll try and give you as we go through it. Okay, so the first option that we've got here is what you want to ideally get before leaving the ground is two separate anchors completely. So I've thrown into the tree, I've got my top anchor, and then just to get a second one, all I would generally do then is just double bag a branch just below it, just as so. So now I've got two independent anchors isolated as well, and once I've done that I would install the ropes. So I'll do that now as well. Try not to let the cubes fly away in this wind, but it's real life, it's what would happen on the day. Try not to get things tangled. That's the main thing with throw lines and double bagging two ropes. The worst thing is actually not having the ropes get tangled, the throw lines themselves. But hopefully you can't hear them dogs either. Neighbours' dogs are quite noisy and loud. Okay, so that's one rope installed. Just going to install the second rope. And then this now is the perfect scenario. Obviously these will be top anchored, and you can do whatever you want now. You can have one double, one single, two singles, but we'll go through that after when we go through options for gear and methods of actually climbing and using your systems. So we'll go now into option 2. Okay, so the second option would be one anchor and two ropes. So a good example for this would be, say you were removing a tall conifer tree, a Scots pine or something like that, where there is literally no lower branches. You've just got the top shot and there's literally not really any other anchors for you to double bag or get. So this will be the option where you'd put two ropes onto that one anchor and then ascend up on them. So at least you'd have two ropes at all times. So that is the second option. Okay, so a base tie option, which I didn't mention before, would be obviously you get a base tie shot into the tree. You can't isolate, you can't do anything. There's no other option, you have to base tie. So what I would do then is install one rope, do an alpine, and then with my second rope I clip that into the alpine. Obviously haul this up, and then what I generally do is haul it up over the branch into free space. Obviously you'd tie this off now around the base of the tree, and then you'd have your two options, two ropes there to climb on. I said pull it over the branch just for the fact that when you want the carabiner to be in free space, you don't want it rubbing or touching onto the stem. And then also when you get up there, you can go right up to the base tie union and then actually reach over and unclip that carabiner to advance it if you needed to, or to separate it to two separate anchors. So yeah. So the final and third option would be to throw up, install one rope onto the branch, and then this would work perfectly if you were removing the tree. Then you'd install your rope, put your system on it, and then use your lanyard then. So you'd have your lanyard, and then you'd have your system as well. So you go up that using this, spike up the tree, and you take your second system with you to advance if you needed to stay tied in twice. Or if you're going straight up from the floor, you could have that wouldn't be there. You could just spike straight up from the floor like you would do normally with your lanyard on, and then just choker off a system onto the stem. This one is just a running bowline with a stopper knot, nice and simple. That's all you need. With a system on it, and then you could spike up, holding them both as you go up like that. So that's another option. So, and there, like I say, you've only got two here, a lanyard and then only one actual main system, but as long as this reaches the ground, you're fine. And you just take, for instance, you take this one up with you in maybe like a double rope configuration on your harness, and then if you get to any bigger branches you could advance around it, staying tied in twice. So there, it's not really much different, I would say, to climbing like one rope as such, because it's just what we do every day really, spiking up for a removal. So yeah, so that was the last option. So after that we'll just move on to gear, hardware and options for you to use in the tree. Okay, so I'm just going to run through a couple options for gear wise you can use. So obviously my favourite is the wrench and just having a hitch next to it. Both exact same knot, these are just VTs. So you can use these comfortably with one hand, climb around the tree, no problem. So that's a really good option. So I'll just explain this while I'm on with this now, where this is the second system with just a hitch. So for example, if this was to fail your wrench, this will grab you and hold you exactly where you are, so you'll be safe. And then obviously if you had to descend, this is for like an emergency, then you'd add friction to come down. So this is a way we can have it so we don't have two systems. Well, it is two systems, it's just not like a wrench on this as well, so you don't, otherwise it ends up creating too much friction. But that's a reason why we have just a hitch on this one. It's more just to catch you in an emergency. But yeah, getting back to it, so you've got these two options to ascend up with. You can have your groundy, just hold your tail, and that'll just slide up the rope nicely all the way up. Or you could have a wrench and you could have this turned into a double rope configuration. So then your groundy can also tend it as well for you completely. You wouldn't need it clipped into you, which is a great option as well. Especially if you've got a long ascent, you can just focus on climbing on your single rope device, which here is a wrench, and while your groundy just tends this for you. So that's one option. I'll show a couple more. Obviously I'm not going to show them all because there's so many configurations that you can have, but I'll show some more now, and we'll go from there. Okay, so another option would be obviously using the Rope Runner Pro with a hitch. You can start using both together. This is not something that I use personally. I prefer just the wrench and the hitch, but I have seen a lot of people using this. So generally what they probably do is collapse the hitch completely, and then you just pretty much just using the runner. Or another option, which I also seen other people using as well, is the akimbo. So this one you might need to change your knot and have more of a smaller knot for it to be able to work. So then you can actually collapse that easier before using the akimbo. But same sort of principle as the runner. And again, you can change this into a double rope configuration. Yeah, and then also I might as well explain while I'm talking about it now. So on my bridge is I have a camp gyro. So this has attachment onto my bridge like this, using a DMM shackle. You have to have the red thing installed for this to be compatible. And then obviously now I've got two holes to allow me to put two systems in. And it means when you're climbing up, sometimes you may only clip into the one attachment point, and it just holds this one high enough up so it's not down near your feet. And obviously they're both on independent swivels, which is brilliant. So it just keeps everything nice, neat, tidy, all next to yourself. It just, yeah, works really well for this configuration. using two systems. So yeah, so now we'll just move on to maybe tips and tricks in the tree, I guess. How to use them, different ways in the tree. Okay, so if you didn't have a groundy there at present, right at the moment, they were chipping or whatever, you can still tend your slack yourself. So as you're sending up, especially if you're using an ear sender configuration and foot sender, you just keep it so it's nice and neat. No slack in the line for you to fall. And eventually it would start tending itself if you got a nice hitch. But yeah, just like that. Okay, so like I say, this is my favourite configuration, the wrench and the hitch just on its own. So what I try to do is get the rope so anchor points are as close as they can to each other. So then it's no real different to climbing and just like normal on one. So you just use them both with one hand as you're climbing about, doing your work. So it's no different then. Lanyard in. The benefit to when you're climbing around and working now is that, say I wanted to do a redirect here, I've lanyarded in so I'm still tied in twice. So I can take one of my systems off. I can, say, throw it through this union here. I've got two bridges, so I could use the second bridge now. And there we have it. I've got a redirect, but still keeping my other line here. So I could maybe use this for better work positioning now, while lanyarding on this side. So it all has its benefits. Checking that's grabbing, which is good. Also lanyarded in, so now I could do some work. Okay, so we're just gonna show another option for creating a 3-to-1 with your hitch. So obviously lanyard in, so I can take this one off. So if you wanted to, say you were going to come back, or you wanted to create like a false redirect, but then the benefit of this is it does give you like a 3-to-1. So hopefully you can see that. I've just like doubled it back on itself with a loop above it. So now I'm good. So now when I go down to this next branch, I've created a 3-to-1. So now there's a climb out. See, I went to did some work here now. Actually just got it a bit tangled, so I'll undo that. Do some work, whatever I'm doing. And when you come back in now, you can just pull as if you're on double rope, which is the benefit of having a single line which you can convert into a double, or in this configuration a freeway pull, and then simple. So now if I wanted to come off this, I could always go back to where I was and lanyard in. I'll go back here, say that I'm done with the mechanical advantage, and lanyard in, make sure I'm loaded in my wrench, and I can undo this. Literally just unclip it, let it fold out, and then back to single again. So 2 singles. So that's the advantage that you have of having a hitch on its own, is that you can do little things like that. So that's one little tip, which good for people also that are so used to double rope, is that they can do that around the tree. Or if you're just not happy with SRT, you could always have, like I said on the ground, you could have one SRT and one double, and just keep moving your double around the tree. That's not how I like to do it, but that'll be very good for triangulating. But yeah, it's all good. So now I've obviously got a single and a double. So the advantage, like I was saying before, is that now I can move my double around the tree. So for say, for example, now I want to get into this other tree here, if I can without falling. With a bit of luck. Like this. And want to say, move my anchor into this tree and not redirect so I can triangulate a little bit better. Now get into a better position. Lanyard in. I can now take off my one double. Remove that. I actually didn't have a Camun Saver in this. So I'll just throw it in just for examples. Obviously you would install a Camun Saver if you're working the tree and you weren't removing it. But now it gives you the option to have a double rope. One, it means you can advance up in a much better rope angle, because now I've got the two. But also, so I can work the tree in a much more safer manner now. Because like before, when I was here, obviously I was potentially going to fall. That's the only issue with ropes, is that you can end up in a bit of a knot. So the advantage of this now is that I can come back across, say over here, triangulating my systems, meaning that you could potentially get into a better work position like this. Lanyard in somewhere, and then start working. So that's the advantage of having like two systems and having like a double rope with you, is that you can move this around the tree to get yourself into a better working position. You just have to be aware that you've got, when it's like this, you've got crossing around your bridge and things like this. So like now I am on this system, I am lanyarded in, I can sort this out. So that's the advantage of having a double rope. You just have to be aware of moving rope on single rope a little bit more to get those nice triangulated angles. Okay, I haven't really mentioned anchor point like assembly, so I'll probably go back down to the floor and we'll show you some different options for anchor points on the floor. So I just wanted to go through a couple options for anchors. So for if I'm doing a removal, for instance, I literally keep it super simple, and I'll just have two running bow lines, because generally at some point you're going to have to go back to the top of the tree, take the top out or whatever. So running bow lines just keep it nice and simple, out of the way. So you just have one, and then I have my second anchor. Obviously I'd have them separated, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Is just to have them separate anchors away from each other, but just running bow lines, super simple, with just a stopper nut. So that's generally 9 times out of 10 is what I'd do for pretty much any removal. Okay, so to make it maybe a little bit better than just a running bow line rope on rope, you can add a ring in it and then just tie the bow line around the ring instead, just to make it a little bit better, sort of thing, but that's about it really. Alright, so another super simple one is just to do, say you got top shot, you're just doing a bit of pruning, nice and simple, just straight up, straight back down. You could just do something as simple as just an alpine and just put the other end through it and then just feed that up to the top. Then just do 2 of them as well. So then you've got a retrieval line as well. But again, it's super simple and very job specific, that is, for what you're doing. You wouldn't really want to do that if you had to do a redirect or anything like that. Okay, so now if you're doing a pruning job, a reduction, and you have to install a Camun Saver. So then you can do some redirects and stuff. So this is probably what a lot of you are already doing. So I'd install my Camun Saver. Obviously this is 2 SRT ropes. I do a knot blocker on both of them. Do an alpine, shove the end through. Simple as that. Climb off that end, retrieval ends that. And obviously you'd have 2 of them. Like so. Again, install my second one, exact same as the first one. An alpine, the tail through it. So that'll be that. So I'll have both my lines set now. And then for retrieval, I'd also clip them both together. So then I only have to retrieve one. One rope can be pulled out completely. I would have a retrieval line separately on a bag, which I'd drop out the tree and connect them both together. So now I've got maximum rope for in the tree. So now I'd have, these 2 are 45 meter ropes. I'd have 45 meter ropes in the tree to climb around. And yeah, all right, well, I'll show you how it would retrieve now. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate retrieving it using the orange line with the red carabiner. So obviously you've climbed up this side, you've taken your systems off. One side you don't need a retrieval ball, the other side just need one retrieval ball because we've fastened the Camun Savers together. Obviously you would retrieve it. For demonstration purposes, I'm not going to pull all 45 meters through, but then this end will come up, retrieve it, and it'd fall down together. Okay, so now that I would be set for retrieval, gone to the floor, taken my system off, and then I'm holding it up. And with this one, I could actually pull one of the ropes out completely from here. So that one would just drop to the floor, and then using the second line, this would fall out here, and then pull this one out, and they both come out together. So you'd only be lower, you could lower these together with a throw line as well if you had to, which is another option. Okay, so that was just a quick brief introduction into 2 rope climbing here we do in the UK. As you can see, I like to keep things pretty simple, so then it doesn't really change my climbing style. But other than that, hopefully it's been enjoyable and you've learned something and you can take something away from this. But yeah, so thanks for asking me and climb safe.